The world is one, especially for cricket fans, as the 50-over World Cup kicks off in India. We've looked in depth at all teams here on WION, and you can catch detailed previews on our digital streams. Just go looking for WION World of Cricket. I'm Digvijay Singh. I'm joined by cricketing royalty. Dav Whatmore, Sri Lanka's 1996 World Cup winning coach, is our cricket pundit. And today we are talking game changers. Now, Dav, in the build-up to this World Cup, we've been hearing a lot about X-factor players, 3D players, game changers. From a coaching perspective, what defines a game changer for you?
I've had a bit of a think about this, and I've just put it in words here, so I'll just read it out to you. Someone who performs an extraordinary act, usually against the run of play, and usually over a short period of time, although it can be a little bit longer.
So hang on, so it's not the player of the match?
No.
It's not the player of the match?
No, generally over a short period of time, like, for example, an incredible run out to get a batsman who's in form and looking like taking the game away. Maybe a spurt of runs over 2 or 3 overs that'll change the momentum. Anyone who can, change the course of the game over a short period of time usually, but it can be a little bit longer than that too. So with that background, I've come up with 5 of us.
Okay, so what you're saying is only the coaches and the die-hard cricket pundits out there will know what that change was. It won't necessarily reflect on the scoreboard for fans, and it may come across as 20 of 10 balls. But that's the game changer for you if the team goes on and wins the game.
That's right, exactly. And really, I think you may be surprised of the knowledge of the cricket followers. They're getting more smarter and more knowledgeable. So I reckon they would also know when that change happens.
Okay, so over the course of this special preview series, we've spoken about the likes of Mitchell Starc, Rashid Khan, Johnny Bairstow. So let me just put it out there. We are not talking about players we have spoken of in the other segments like the batters or the bowlers. Let's look at Dav Whatmore's 5 game changers to look out for. Those numbers are going to come up here. I'm going to turn. There you are. These are the 5 you've picked, and I'll get you to talk about them. You think Ben Stokes, oh, hang on, we all know that. Surya Kumar Yadav, does he get a game? Glenn Maxwell, the big show. I'm intrigued by the bottom 2 because their strike rates, when we talk in detail, aren't exactly pointing to the fact that they could be game changers. But tell me, why these 5?
Well, I believe they've all got the ability to change the course of a game, to counter-attack, to counter-punch. Some of those figures will obviously be, understandable, but as you said, 1 or 2, like Mohammad Rizwan and Jadeja, may surprise some. But I feel that they've got the ability to change the game, and that's why I put them in there.
Okay, so let's talk about the first man out there. And I think no surprise, if there's any certainty in this list, it's Ben Stokes. And I believe, and you may agree or disagree with me, we have a good relationship. I think he's the greatest match winner of this generation. And with all due respect to the likes of Virat Kohli, Steven Smith and Mitchell Starc, everyone else, what Ben Stokes does, he does it when the chips are down.
Surely, and what some of the figures don't tell you is the timing of his performances. It comes at a time when he rescues, and I call him the rescuer. And he's worth his weight in gold because he's able to turn a situation in the game that's heading in the wrong direction into the opposite direction, and more times than not, they win the game. So.
Okay, let's get in some numbers. We're going to have some numbers coming up here. This is Ben Stokes' best innings, which we've picked, but you know what? We have that sort of bit of a bias is allowed. Yeah, these are his top 5 innings. Not every game they've gone and won, but the World Cup final single-handedly kept them in the hunt. Yeah. Then came out. There was that emotional super over. They win the World Cup. His comeback series just a couple of weeks ago, the 182 against New Zealand. Again, England was struggling over there. Then the T20 World Cup final, a very underrated 52. It was a struggle, you know, it was a big struggle, and he took England over the line against Pakistan, who were bowling well. The Headingley Test, we remember that coupled with the ODI World Cup final got him the player ICC Cricketer of the Year award. And again, earlier this year, they didn't win this game, but for the briefest of moments, for that afternoon, I thought England were reeling.
Absolutely.
They were reeling, Australia were reeling with that counter-attack.
And Diggy, can you also recall that one-handed catch on the boundary line?
Yeah.
You know, in a very awkward position. That was just incredible to watch. I mean, not many people have the ability to do that.
So that for you is the game-changing moment.
Well, that's right. It can be, you know, those sort of catches will turn a game. An incredible run-out will turn a game as well.
Let's look at Ben Stokes' numbers, because when you look at those numbers, you think, gosh, what's the fuss all about? But
Well,
then, I mean, just look at this. 108 games, just 3,000 runs. I've not put bowling in here. He's not going to bowl.
Yeah. If there was another stat that showed when he rescued, how many times he's rescued a team, like Adam Gilchrist, that would be, you know, really useful to know as well, because this fella, he's got the ability to do that.
But is that also because it may not show up that way, but we remember those innings because it's the impact. We've sort of seen it happen, and that impact stays with you. Perhaps there have been other innings as well, but these stay with us because of the impact on how he turned the game around.
Well, that's right, and good cricket knowledgeable people will know that. You know, they'll know that this is the reason why you've won the game, or this is the reason why you nearly won the game. You know, it's changed the course of the game.
Okay, but talking about Ben Stokes, to do what he does, you need clarity of mind. But let's not forget, this is a person who's bounced back from adversity. We remember the 2016 T20 final, World Cup final, where he gets, defends 19, but gets hit for 4 straight sixes. Then a year later comes that brawl, he's arrested, he misses out, somehow clears his name. That struggle with his dad's health, unfortunately lost his dad. But each time he's on the cricket field, he manages to shut all the noise out and play cricket sort of the way he sees it. The ball's there to be hit, I'll tonk it.
Well, that's right. He's had he hasn't been without his, problems over the recent times anyway. But he's got the clarity of mind, he's got the conviction of his thoughts to go ahead and execute. Single-mindedly, you know, there's a lot of distractions that come into your mind with all cricketers, but it's the ones who are able to remove them, to erase them from your mind, knowing what you need to do, and then go ahead and executing. He's one of a few that can do that and change a game.
Yeah, okay. Imagine you are the coach in the opposite dugout or the pavilion, dressing room, wherever. You know it's a must-win game, it's a World Cup semi-final or a final. Ben Stokes walks into bat. As an opposing bowler, as an opposing captain, as the opposing coach, it is sort of intimidating. And that's half the battle won. So how do you prepare for someone like a Ben Stokes? Because you don't know the conventional works, unconventional works.
Yeah. Well, you need to plan, that's for sure. You know, you need to know what you'd like to do early in his innings, because you'd like to get him out early. If you don't, then you might have to pay the price. So I'd be going with a positive, attacking mindset. These guys that can change games and be very aggressive, I think you've got to match it with as much a positive mindset and aggressive mindset yourself. Okay, you're going to fight fire with fire. It may work, it may not, but I think it gives you a better chance of succeeding.
Okay, the aggressive option. Okay, we're getting somewhere with this. Let's bring up another aggressive option. Let's talk about Surya Kumar Yadav.
Oof.
Now, before this World Cup, people are questioning, should he be in the team? Rahul Dravid, coach, big legend himself, says, we've picked our team, Surya's in it. And then perhaps that has settled him down. Got some good runs against Australia as well. But in the truest terms of the word, a game changer when you see it. His numbers, which we are going to see, are not going to tell us that, especially in ODI cricket. But give him 30 balls, and that game could be over.
And
there you have it.
Look at the strike rate.
27, 28.
Yeah, the strike rate's what you're looking for, I think.
Okay.
If you look at the strike rate, it's 105.70.
Hang on, but can we get up the next one, please? His IPL, his T20I numbers. Let's contrast it with that. Because his T20I numbers coming up here, Look at the strike rate.
Huge.
And look at the runs, look at the matches, and look at the strike rate. What India need is for him to sort of get out of that T20I space and transport it into the ODIs. We're now sort of seeing him get there.
Yeah, it takes a bit of time, I guess.
But why is that?
And
one would think it's an automatic switch.
Well, it doesn't happen that way. It's that another word called expectations comes into it, and that can cause so many problems. When you're coming in from one format to the other, it's very difficult to switch on. Very few have the ability to do that, and they're multi-formatted players. In his case, he certainly has got the ability to star in these 50-over matches. But at the beginning on this transformation from this one format to the other, sometimes the expectations in his own mind, expectations from others around him, from his parents, his coaches, teammates, can be a negative effect, particularly if you happen to miss out in the first couple of innings, which was the case. So it takes a little bit of time, and he's human, and it's a mental game. Yes, you've got to have the skill and, to do all sort of tricks like he can do, but it's still a game played in the head once you cross that line. So he needs support. He needs plenty of support, and I think he's getting it.
Okay, since you brought up skills, let's get a bat in. Can you give me a bat? Okay. Yeah.
Oh, gee.
Let's look at a method to Surya Kumar Yadav's madness with someone who's played Test cricket. Is it not exactly the Dav Whatmore coaching manual? But let's figure out. I'll take this for you.
Yeah.
And let's get Dav Whatmore to show us.
Let's look at the leg
method.
side.
How does he manufacture those shots?
There's lots of shots that he plays around the wicket, but I think let's focus the one on the leg side.
Okay.
But I'll preface it by saying that it is played with a lot of confidence and courage, and it's very rarely practiced in the nets because it's too dangerous. For one, the surfaces aren't quite the same as competition surface, like wickets, so it's difficult to practice it in the nets. To me, it's played on instinct. So you've got to have the courage, the conviction, and the skill. And
but hang on, but that's a huge thing you're saying.
Yeah.
You would think that it's muscle memory comes in, you practice. We've heard stories of Sachin Tendulkar scuffing up the leg side and getting Sivaramakrishnan to bowl there so that he prepares for Shane Warne. You think it's all instinct?
It is. If I was in his shoes, if I was still playing now, I'd be looking to play it on instinct.
Okay.
Sometimes it'll be predetermined and I have to just go through with it. But in his case, he's able to identify an area where there's less protection in the outfield, and he's got the ability to hit it. And the earlier you take it, the more finer it'll go. The later you hit it, the more straighter it'll go. So he's got this happy knack, or this wonderful knack, to actually make contact at the right angle to ensure that the ball goes in an area where there's less protection and he gets full value for the shot. Sometimes it doesn't matter, it goes right over the top. And I can also tell you that the speed of the bat is controlled not by the arms and shoulders, it's by the wrists and the forearms, and he must have terrific strength in the wrists, because that's the only body part that can accelerate the bat or decelerate the bat. If you think, oh goodness, that's not where I thought, then the wrist will slow it down for you, or it will quicken up and away she goes all over. So, that's a little interesting thing that not many people would know. It's the wrists that allows you to accelerate or decelerate.
That's why you won the World Cup as a coach.
No.
That's why we've got Dav Whatmore here. Okay, one more question. When you say wrist, clearly that means there has to be some tennis background there, those volleys.
Yeah.
But when you were coaching Sri Lanka, let's talk 96, what are the options the bowlers have? They only had the Yorker. But what Surya Kumar Yadav is doing, the Yorker's still around.
Yeah.
But what Surya Kumar Yadav is doing, he's even converting the Yorker into a ball he hits. What he's doing is
going back.
He's going back.
Yeah.
Either then he again gets the sweep out, or he then, because he's crouched right at the end, he turns the ball into a half volley and launches it.
Well, that's right. If you go deep in your crease, you're giving yourself a little bit more time to see the ball, and you're giving yourself more time to make it into that half volley. And he's so good at that. You've got to be very fit, very strong in the quads, so that you have to lower your centre of gravity without losing, balance. And he's able to actually execute those shots correctly. But also, my feeling is that you got to see the ball early. Once you see the ball early, and I think that's the difference between players who get big runs and players who don't get that many big runs in their consistency, because those ones see it early. We all take it for granted. We got eyes, we can see. But there are days when you see it a little bit earlier, which as a batsman I know, you think, bloody hell, this is easy today. Other days you struggle a little bit, and it's because you pick that ball in flight a fraction of a second later and you struggle a bit.
But Dav, you know, I mean, I've never played cricket. I mean, I played gully cricket, that doesn't count. But they say, when I used to go for coaching when I was a kid, they say when you play, your head has to be still. You play the ball underneath your eyes, correct? But when he's moving around in his crease, how is he keeping his head still? Suppose he's already crouched, he's premeditated. The bowler bowls it wide outside the off stump. He still swivels, uses his upper body strength, smashes it across. How is he second-guessing the bowlers? If you're already in position, can you just show that to us?
Well, surely, I think, you know, also if you're in that frame of mind, then the bowler becomes a little bit defensive. If you're putting the pressure back on them, the bowler has that slightly defensive mind, and then he's looking not to get you out. So he's just looking to stop you from scoring, and that's a bit of an advantage, a big advantage, in fact, for the batsman. So in his case, he's able to do that, and that makes a hell of a difference. Now, what am I showing you? I can't.
I'm asking you to show me how does he move, premeditate, but still get his head still, and then how does he get the power to go?
But fractionally, I think fractionally of a second, you know, when impact occurs, it's a little bit more stable than you think. It's not a case of moving and hitting, you know. Fractionally, he's got himself in the right position in the bottom half, your legs, and then he's executing with the top half. As I said, the last bit that comes in was those wrists to make it go a long way. So fractionally, it's hard to explain. It's hard to eyeball it on, you know, when you're watching it live. But when you slow it down, most of the time you'll find fractionally the head is still, and you're watching the ball very intently, having seen it early.
Okay, time for me to hand back the coaching pad and I get the bat back. Thank you for this. Okay, that's
I hope
interesting.
that was understandable.
Yeah, hopefully we'll ask our viewers. In fact, we've got a segment going saying no more with Whatmore. If you like what you're seeing or you don't like what you're seeing, if you think you can tell us a bit more, write into us and I'll put that question across to Dav. He's happy. He's happy to face criticism, aren't you?
Correct.
Of course. That interaction has to happen. Since you spoke about putting the bowler on the back foot, let's get in Glenn Maxwell. Let's talk about him, because that's exactly what Maxie does. The big show, he intimidates the bowler. But I think a lot of fans are divided over Maxwell because he's not that consistent. But when he's playing for Australia, he's much more consistent than when playing franchise cricket. Why is that?
Expectations again, I think. You know, everyone's...
There's no price tag of, say, $2 million on him when he's playing for Australia. That's what you mean?
Perhaps, I know, but also the conditions of the pitches also might might make a difference. But certainly when he moved to Bangalore with the Challengers, it seemed to turn him around a little bit, you know, and he's now heading in the right direction. He had some wonderful innings with the RCB. And very destructive. Another player who's got a huge strike rate and can easily...
Let's bring those numbers up. Let's get Glenn Maxwell's numbers up here. Yeah. And we'll talk over it. There you go. Strike rate, 125.
Yeah. Well, here you go. Well, that suggests that he's got the ability to accelerate really quickly. And the fact that he's only averaging 33.6 also suggests that he's doing it over a short period of time.
So 5 overs, 6 overs, that stretch is all he gets.
Ideally longer.
Let's look down here, because when you say game changers, 64 wickets, just took 4 against India's best bowling performance, and Australia expecting him to bowl full-time in this World Cup, and electric fielder. So he's another of those 3 choices for you. He ticks all the boxes.
That's right. And when it comes to bowling, he used to have at least 1 boundary ball and over. So batsmen, no problem. They can knock a couple of dot balls away because they know there's one coming. These days it doesn't come so often now, so he's able to be more accurate and repeat good delivery. So the batsmen still, I think, are expecting this to happen, but He hasn't. He's changed. He's become better. He's become more consistent. And that's also a reason why he picked up wickets the other day too. He doesn't give you the boundary balls like he used to.
And the pressure then on the batters to sort of go and take him on.
Yeah.
And do they take him lightly, right? Oh, he's Glenn Maxwell. Let's hit him.
That's what I mean. Yeah, because they're used to hitting him. Now it doesn't happen very often, and so I think, bloody hell, I've got to now, make the effort, and in doing so, I've got to make up for this. The risk generally, comes with it, and you could be out.
Okay, that's Glenn Maxwell. Let's talk about another player who Dav has picked, and this is a player who again ticks all the boxes. This is Ravindra Jadeja from India. I expect Jadeja to bowl 10 overs because in that middle overs, which you call the engine room, he keeps things tight.
Yeah.
But his numbers, which are going to come up, I'm a bit surprised about the strike rate. Do India need him at 7 with that strike rate? That's a concern for me.
Well, perhaps, but I just feel, watching him, and I've known him a long time.
Because he's a better batter than that.
Surely, yeah, but he's sometimes asked to perform different jobs, different tasks in the team. And particularly in the IPL too, in the shortest format, he comes late. And in my opinion, I have so much confidence in that kid that even if the strike rate or the required run rate is 10 or more, I'm confident he can do it. And he's done it on occasions, but he needs to do it a little bit more. So that's just one area where he can impact the game. The other one is his incredible fielding standards, where he can take a brilliant catch or effect a wonderful run out to change the course of the game. So, his bowling now, as you said, engine room bowling, sure, but we've seen him grip and turn that ball viciously. And in his own little way, he just may have the ability to pick up 2-3 quick wickets, which will surely, put the advantage to India. Okay. So 3 opportunities to be a game changer.
I love the way you said this kid. I remembered. Of course, 2008. He was vice captain when you won the Under-19 World Cup with India. And Virat Kohli was captain and Jadeja was the vice captain, wasn't he?
And he still hit the ball beautifully too.
Okay. Okay, let's look at our last game changer. And the last game changer is Pakistan's Mohammad Rizwan. Okay, explain this to us. He's sort of, I don't know if I could say this, he's the power behind the throne. He complements Babar Azam very well. They have this destructive partnership in T20Is. But in, again, one international is just about 89 a strike rate. But he's performing a job because usually he's coming into bat with the top 3 getting runs. But when they don't do well, the pressure increases on him.
It does. A lot of people may be a little surprised, like you are. Yeah. About
if you say T20, I would take him.
Yeah. No, Rizzi, I think, has got tremendous ability to counter attack. He's a lot like, to me, Bairstow, without quite the numbers yet, but he's always looking to attack. He's always looking, with every ball he faces, how can I get a run? And there are times when the team's struggling, and that fellow can turn it around. He can counterpunch.
He's the insurance policy.
He is a bit of insurance policy, but he can counterpunch. And he's very, very aggressive between wickets, quick to turn 1s into 2s and cut you down that way as well. Can take an incredible catch behind the stumps, but I think more for his batting and his ability to counterpunch and to keep going. As I mentioned right at the start of this show, over a short period of time. With him, I think a little bit longer for him. Okay,
and he also perhaps is that sounding board for Babar Azam behind the stumps. That's, again, something which won't show up on the scorecard. On that note, Dav Whatmore, thank you so much for this lovely education. A reminder, Dav Whatmore has also picked his top 5 batters and bowlers. You can go onto our digital streams and catch that. Again, I repeat, if you like something he said or you disagree, write to us using the hashtag WION Cricket or ask Dav. As Dav picked his 5 game changers, he also told us that they may not necessarily reflect on the scoreboard, but teams deep down know that these small passages of play change the game. That's it then on this special edition of WION World of Cricket. Plenty more cricket coming up. The World Cup is getting underway, and we have all bases covered.